16 editions, 10 different winners, and 333 individual players crowned champions. The European Championship, or the Euros as you and I know them, is truly one of the most spectacular and anticipated tournaments in the world. Great matches, summer vibes, and guaranteed drama are what everyone associates with the Euros. Highly regarded as the second most prestigious international tournament after the World Cup, and considered by many to be the toughest, the Euros has provided fans with many memorable moments since its inception in 1960.
You get his name on the score sheet. Oh, he doesn't need any help. Oh, what a way to win it, Dimitri Payet.
Ronaldo's made his move, it's Ronaldo! Oh!
So, what do you know about the Euros? This is the entire history of the Euros. Originally known as the European Nations Cup, the tournament made its debut in 1960, with France hosting the Euros for the first time. In fact, the idea for the competition was first proposed by the General Secretary of the French Football Federation, Henri Delaunay, in 1927. But due to the Second World War and other obstacles, it was decided to wait more than 30 years until 1958, with the inaugural edition taking place in 1960. In honour of Delaunay, the trophy awarded to the winners is indeed named after him. Only 4 teams took part in the first competition, being the Soviet Union, Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, and the host, France. The Soviet Union triumphed, beating Yugoslavia 2-1 in a thrilling final at the Parc des Princes in Paris. That first edition of the Euros marked the start of what has become one of the most prestigious and eagerly anticipated tournaments in international football. Following the first edition of the European Championships, which generated a huge amount of interest among European fans, the tournament was then held every 4 years. The first winners were the Soviet Union. The second champions 4 years later was Spain. And if we fast forward just 4 more years to 1968, fans witnessed the first very memorable moment of the Euros. We are of course talking about Italy's iconic coin toss victory. In 1968, the Euros was hosted in Italy, and again we have a 4-team competition, with this edition also marking England's first involvement, as they went up against Italy, the Soviet Union and Yugoslavia. In the semi-final against the Soviet Union, held in Naples, the match ended 0-0 after extra time. As there was no penalties, the game was instead decided by a coin toss. Yes, there was no other way to end it. And luckily for the hosts, Italy captain Giacinto Facchetti called it right, and sent his nation through to the final. But there was another unusual moment in the final. The game ended in a 1-1 draw, and to ensure that Italy didn't appear to have won the entire championship on 2 successive coin tosses, the organisers decided to hold a replay, which ended 2-0 in favour of the hosts, giving the Italians their first ever European title. But what do you think is the most spectacular way to take a penalty? Powerful down the middle, or right into the top corner? Well, our pick is the Panenka Penalty. So let's go forward to 1976 and the birth of the Panenka Penalty. The final between Czechoslovakia and West Germany went to penalties. So, with the score level, attacking midfielder Antonin Panenka stepped up to take the decisive kick. Instead of a traditional powerful or accurate shot, Panenka simply chipped the ball clean down the middle as the German goalkeeper dived to his right. We can only imagine how spectacular it must have been to witness such a risky move live. But it is safe to say that we can only be grateful to Panenka for his magical invention, copied since by many players, most famously by Andrea Pirlo against England in Euro 2012. Moving on and fast forwarding 8 more years, and we arrive at the most iconic, legendary and majestic performance by a single player at the European Championship. Yes, Michel Platini was more than just an all-round player in 1984. He was the man who single-handedly won France its first major trophy. He was the tournament's top scorer with an incredible 9 goals in just 5 games. including 2 hat-tricks, one against Belgium and the other Yugoslavia. A record that still stands to this day, with the attacking midfielder also being instrumental in both the semi-finals and the final. He went on to score the winner against Portugal and then opened the scoring in the 2-0 win over Spain at the Parc des Princes that gave Les Bleus their first international title, along the way earning Platini the tag of the best player in the world. Talking of legends, we arrive to the 1988 Euros in Germany. This tournament truly belonged to Dutch legend Marco van Basten, guiding his country to victory in 1988. Yes, the Dutch are certainly one of the most long-suffering fans in the game, having played in 2 World Cup finals in the 1970s, only to lose out both times. In 1988, however, fate took its course and the Netherlands finally lifted their first and only major trophy to date. And after scoring 2 hat-tricks en route to the iconic final, where they took on the Soviet Union at the Olympic Stadium in Munich, it was the 2-0 victory that proved to be the pinnacle of the great Dutchman's career. Van Basten received a tricky ball on the edge of the penalty area, but without hesitating, he unleashed a bullet of a volley, striking it from the tightest of angles into the Soviet goal. To this day, it is arguably the greatest goal in European Championship history. Next up, we have a moment from the very next edition when one of the finest but equally controversial stories of the Euros took place. In 1992, Denmark failed to qualify for the tournament after losing to Yugoslavia in the group stage. The latter, however, had some serious political troubles, and as such were not allowed to take part. But then the lucky losers, Denmark, arrived on the scene and did the unthinkable. Yes, they only went and won the entire thing, beating the mighty Germans in the final. It's been said since that apparently the Danish players were on the beach and on holiday when they got the call that they would be playing in the Euros. So who would have thought that they could go on and win it all? Now let's move forward 4 more years to 1996. Remember what we said about the Netherlands? Well, apply the same to England, who have also been very unlucky when it comes to major tournaments. But in 1996, many thought the curse would finally be broken and football would finally be coming home. Yes, this was the year the iconic anthem was released, with the fact that the tournament was being hosted on home soil only adding to the excitement and the hope of the Three Lions faithful. Under the guidance of legend Terry Venables, England topped their group with a memorable 4-1 win over the Netherlands and then beat Spain on penalties in the quarter-finals. However, the semi-final against Germany ended in a 1-1 draw, with Alan Shearer's 3rd-minute opener giving the home fans at Wembley hope. Sound familiar? Well, it was a lot like the match against Italy at Euro 2020. The whole stadium roaring for you, and you even had the advantage in penalties. But again, the Three Lions fell short, after current England manager Gareth Southgate missed the decisive penalty, sending Germany through to the European Championship finals, and in turn breaking both England fans and Gazza's hearts. Before we go to the next Euros, remember to like, comment and subscribe, and let us know in the comment section down below your favourite moment in Euro history. Yes, as we approach modern times, every European Championship has something great to add to its history. Such is the case with Zinedine Zidane's incredible performance in the year 2000. His impact in the group stage was particularly memorable, but what can you say about the knockout rounds? He scored a stunning free kick against Spain in the quarter-finals and then converted a golden goal penalty against Portugal in the semis. Then, in the final against another European giant in Italy. His vision, technique and composure in midfield were instrumental in guiding France to their 2nd European title, as well as a 2nd successive major trophy, following their glorious triumph at the 1998 World Cup. And what about another shock winner? Well, that brings us nicely onto Euro 2004. Against all the odds, the Greeks won the Euros in an incredible and memorable fashion, after beating the favourites and host Portugal twice. Coached by German Otto Rehhagel, Greece's solid defensive tactics were at the heart of their success. Following their progression from the group stage, they defeated defending champions France in the quarter-finals, before edging past the Czech Republic on penalties in the semis. In the final, they would meet Portugal once again, the same team they had beaten in the opening match of the tournament. So, would the result be the same this time around? With Greece edging out Portugal 1-0 thanks to a header from Angelos Charisteas. And the rest, as they say, is history. And if Euro 1996 was Gaz's turn to get his heart broken, well, 2004 was the turn of a young Cristiano Ronaldo. Also, this edition of the Euros is widely remembered for the amazing Wayne Rooney performance as he burst onto the scene as a teenager. Now let's skip forward 8 years to 2012, and a moment that will famously be remembered by the younger football fans watching right now. Yes, we are of course talking about Mario Balotelli, when he did something out of this world in 2012. Indeed, if Marco van Basten's goal is considered by many to be the greatest Euros goal of all time, then Mario Balotelli's celebration is arguably the most iconic, with that performance against Germany, followed by the "I'm him" pose standing tall to this day. He was Italy's best player at Euro 2012, finishing as the tournament's top scorer and scoring 2 crucial goals against Germany in the semi-final. However, it would end in disappointment for Italy, as they were convincingly seen off 4-0 in the final by Spain. Now on to the last 2 editions of this historic tournament, and they haven't disappointed. In 2016, we saw probably one of the most heartwarming moments in Euro history, or at least for half of the world. Because in 2016, Cristiano Ronaldo finally managed to win a major tournament with Portugal, and transfer his incredible form to the international stage. Once again, he impressed throughout the entire tournament, but unfortunately would only play half an hour in the final against France due to injury. However, despite his absence, Ronaldo passionately motivated his teammates from the touchline. And in the end, super sub Eder scored the winner in extra time to secure a 1-0 victory, and in turn make Cristiano, along with all his fans, the happiest people on earth. And finally, the latest edition in 2021. Remember what we said about England in Euro 1996? Well, it happened again, even though they went one better to reach the final against Italy on home soil at Wembley. Despite taking an early lead through Luke Shaw, the 3 Lions were pegged back in the second half. England dominated, but ultimately lost out on penalties with Bukayo Saka missing the vital spot kick, extending over 50 years of hurt for English fans. So, that's the entire history of the European Championships. It's truly an amazing tournament, and has gifted us as football fans some of the most iconic and memorable moments in the history of the beautiful game. With that said, remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us, and allows us to bring you more content like this. Which games or performances did we miss? Drop us a line in the comment section down below. Also, if you like our style, you can check out our latest uploads on your screen right now. So thank you for watching. Until next time, we'll see you then.